So, good evening, everyone. David's got his how to use this Google machine to go. I hope you've all been watching. But good evening and welcome to our July meeting. And can I first say Happy New Year to you all. It's the first of the 2021 financial year, so we now have to start thinking of different things. I'm Peter Bacon. You've all been told that I'm the MC. I hear that my sound isn't too good, so I apologise if you can't hear me too well, but we'll soldier on. Another apology. I'm told that when you are presenting on these things, you are meant to have intellectual books behind you. Well, all you can see behind me is my cupboard doors. Unfortunately, the Bacon household doesn't run to any intellectual books, so I didn't know what to do. So I've said turn your microphones off. If you put your mouse down to the bottom of the right-hand screen, there's three little dots. If you click on that, you'll come up to change layout, and you can then, if you want to just see the main screen, you can choose what you want to see on your screen. So that's you know, that's how that sort of system works. I'll probably forget at the end of the night, but I'd like to thank Kirsten. She spent a couple of hours on the weekend with me trying to get me to work, and when I tuned in tonight, it didn't work. So all that good work you put in with me on the weekend, Kirsten, it didn't work, unfortunately, but we'll soldier on and we'll get there. So tonight's program, we've got 4 speakers. We've got John Hall, who's from the Video SIG, I think. They meet at Wadham House on this Friday. We've got Fleur Stevens, who's a website designer. Fleur, hello. You'll be of no use to me. I can turn my computer on and play solitaire, and here endeth my total ability. We've then got Greg Keogh, and he's sounds like he's a bit of an intellectual, and he's a software developer in real life, and he's going to talk on some interesting matters. We're going to have our beloved president speak. David, I just wish to announce to everyone, the last couple of meetings like this, you have been the MC. You've nominated me as the MC. That's where it ends. I have no intentions of taking over your job as president. You're doing a damn good job, and I'm quite happy to be the MC and not take over the presidency. And following that, we'll have George's usual what's new, and I'm sure there's plenty new around at the moment. If he can tell us that he's found a cure for the COVID-19 virus, that would be very good. So hopefully John Hall's around. John, over to you.
Okay, well, I've switched my mic on, so I don't know if everybody can see me. Can you all see me?
Good by me.
You can hear me too? Okay, good. I've clicked on the mic, so that's fine. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I've been asked to give a short talk about the video production group, so I've prepared a PowerPoint, and I'll talk over that. If you can't hear me, obviously it's muted my feedback, so I can't hear anything at the moment. Maybe I should have worn some headphones, but anyway, I'll try and get to present the PowerPoint right now. So. Okay, can you all see that? Rob Brown, okay. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Not, should we do good? Okay. So the PowerPoint that I'm going to show is a little bit of the history of the video production group and some of the problems that we've been having in actually doing presentations over the online sessions. So let's go from the slideshow from the beginning. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the history of the group, and then I'll show you what a normal meeting looked like, and then I'll go to showing you an online meeting that we had last Friday. The Video SIG, I've been a member of the Video SIG for over 20 years. It started in February 1997. A few members of the Melbourne PC user group asked if they could start a PC video editing SIG, and they first met in the Michael's camera club in 1997 in February. In April of 1997, they decided to split into two groups. You might ask why. The first group was a group called the linear editing, and these people used videotape to do their editing. So if they wanted to do get something from the back of the tape and put that to the front, they had to use the tape machine to actually rewind all the way back to the front. If you were lucky and you could afford a hard drive that could actually capture video, then you did non-linear, which meant that you could actually capture your video to your hard drive. And some of these hard drives were about $500 or $600 for I forget what they were, like you know, under a gig, whatever. And that was started by Laurie Weston in Dorcas Street. As I say, I joined in 1999, and Albert Van Zet then said he was retiring from that, and he decided that he would, if nobody else was going to take it over, then the club was going to fold. So I couldn't rest with the club folding, so I decided to put my hand up and take it over in 2001. And here I am, I'm still running the video club in 2020, 19 years later. There was a bit of history in between that. In 2004, we were running the group in the Baldwin Senior Citizens Hall. In 2004, we moved to Chadstone, and Laurie Weston actually moved out to Werribee. So he moved the group there, and the two groups combined in Chadstone because we could seat about 150 people. And at one time, we did actually have 150 people in one of our meetings. I did this for another 7 years, and then I moved on to start the multimedia and home entertainment group in Mount Waverley, and Richard Balsitti took over the video production group and moved it to the Ashburton Library. Richard ran that for 7 years, and then Richard got tired of actually running it. So I decided, well, I'm going to take it over, and I took it over when I was president, because I just couldn't bear to see the club, the video part of the club fold. So I took it over in 2018, and we set it up to run in Moorabbin on a Monday evening. Well, after a year of trying to get somebody to take it over from me in Moorabbin on a Monday evening, one of the problems with that was by the time I'd actually shut up the shop in Moorabbin, which was quite often after 10 o'clock, and then got all the way home to Glen Waverley, it was gone 11 o'clock at night by the time I got home. So I decided that if nobody was willing to take it over in Moorabbin, I'd still run it, but I'll move it to the fourth Friday morning in Mount Waverley. So that's basically what I've been doing over the past year, and we were having typical meetings on a Friday morning would last for 3 hours. Sorry, 2 hours from 10 till 12. And then we go to lunch afterwards, which always helps make it a nice occasion. In 2020, we managed to get one meeting in. We don't meet in January. We've got a meeting in at the beginning of February, and then COVID-19 hit. And so the lockdowns stopped all meetings at Mount Waverley. Although we were getting about 50 people in there, even with the current restrictions, there's a maximum of 10 people that can meet in Mount Waverley, given the 4 square metre rule. So we tried a few experiments trying to run videos online, but we found that the quality of the videos was pretty poor. But after a few words from people on committee and wherever, we decided to give it a try on last Friday, and we ran our first video online meeting last Friday, and that was reasonably successful, and I'll show you an excerpt from that meeting later on. The normal video SIG meeting format, this is an excerpt from our web page. So if you go into the main MelbPC user group website and you click on SIGs, video production SIG, Mount Waverley, you'll see a page like this. It's a bit shorter than this at the moment because all it says is that we're now going online, and details will be published online. But typically this is the type of meeting that we had. This is a picture of I don't know if you can all see that picture of us in the Moorabbin meeting rooms, and probably there's about 30 or 40 people in that meeting. And the typical agenda was, as published here, this was the meeting for the 11th of March in 2019. And I would kick off the meeting at 7 o'clock with an introduction talk, much the same as Peter has done. And then we'd have a What's New session from one of our longer term members, John Thompson. He'd been going to the club, I think, since about 1997. And he does a What's New section. We have a quick look at the type of stuff he was showing. So there you go, there's John showing a range of tripods. I think he collects them or something, but basically in the What's New section, he'll show us lenses, tripods, cameras, whatever is the latest. Then my co-convener, Richard Balsillie, who was running the Ashburton SIG, fortunately he's now my co-convener for the Mount Waverley SIG. He gave a talk on adding captions to your video, and whenever we give a talk, we also upload that to our website. So there's Richard's talk on how to add captions to your video, which, as I say, he gave on the night, and we've uploaded to the website. One of the main attractions of the video club always has been the social side of it. So within the tea and coffee break, it's a good chance for us all to get together. David Burns was one of the people who was on the committee with me. When I say committee, the steering group for the video production group, way back in the year 2000, and his daughter Tatiana was coming along to the club. Unfortunately, she's working, so she can't get to the Friday morning ones. But as you can see, it's a friendly bunch, and we have a good time socialising basically. And then after the break, I gave a talk on using some freeware, and I put links to the freeware on the video production club SIG page, and then Roger Ragg gave a talk on the latest video editing software which we're all using. Most of us were using Adobe Premiere, but since Adobe have decided to charge for that on a monthly basis, a lot of us have not progressed since the last time that they gave us a once in a lifetime license, which was CS6, which I think must be about 4 or 5 years ago at least now. So we're starting to use a new program called DaVinci Resolve, and Roger Ragg, who films the monthly meetings normally, he films from the box up there. This is Roger talking to David Burns and Tatiana during the coffee break. He gave us a talk on DaVinci Resolve. Now, let's just go to the next page. One of the main features of our meetings has always been our members' videos. And so I would get the members to actually give me their videos. I'd put them onto a laptop and we'd show them on the large screen at Moorabbin. And we also show them on a screen in Mount Waverley, and we've got a 4K projector to do that. This is a talk that was given by one of our members, Colin Paxman, who makes some rather good videos. And Colin was gave us a talk on how he actually made the videos, edited the footage to the music, and so on and so forth. I'll give you an example of, hopefully, of one of Colin's videos and see if it will play. This only goes for 1 minute and 20 seconds, so don't be alarmed. Okay, so that was typical of a video that Colin gives, and he also showed us how they actually made that video. Okay, so so that was one of the.
So this product is something that I've been eagerly anticipating.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to have to just go to another tab. Sorry.
Before we get started, I must say how impressed I am with this polystyrene box. I mean, as far as over-engineered polystyrene boxes go, this.
Hopefully, you're back online with me. Last Friday, we had a video production online meeting, and I got a friend of mine from America to be the guest speaker. Roger Ragg videoed that meeting for us, and he uploaded that to our main MelbPC OneDrive site.
It's as if you're calling your grandmother.
John, it's 21 minutes past. Can you sort of wind up?
Okay, so that's my friend Mark from LA joining in this call, and I'll just move on to the main part of his presentation at 20 minutes. Should be around about there.
Which was the one I'm about to show now was done with an iPhone, which has incredible, what we call dynamic range, the ability to work well under all sorts of levels. Like
John, there's been a bit of a problem. John, there's been a problem if someone else started presenting.
Okay. So I'm just going to go into present mode, and John, let me know if anything doesn't work out here. I'm going to do it at a lower resolution to try and avoid too much lag for you guys, okay?
John, do you think we can sort of wind it up? It's getting on.
Okay, I just wanted to show you the problems that we were having with the streaming. I don't know if everybody can see that, but it's very jerky. And so it makes it very difficult for us to see our members' videos. But anyway, just give you a bit of background about the way those meetings worked. So let me just pause that, and I'll stop presenting now.
John, I'm sorry, he can't hear me. He can't hear me.
Stop hearing.
No.
Okay. Well, if you can't hear, but thanks very much, John. I hope that stimulated a bit of interest in the video, SIG. So now I'd like to introduce Fleur Stevens. As I said before, she's our website designer, developer expert in the club. And she's going to talk about video blogging, which is completely new to me. So over to you, Fleur.
Hi everyone, thanks for attending. We're going to have a quick look at vlogging, which is the art of creating video blogs and posting them online. So I've got a quick slideshow. Let's have a quick look. Okay, so vlogging, let's get into it. What is a vlog? A video blog or video log, sometimes shortened to vlog. It's a form of a blog for which the medium is video and is a form of web television. Vlog entries often combine embedded video or a video link with supporting text, images, and other metadata. Oh, hold on. It just occurred to me I'm not presenting, am I? 1 second. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so why would anybody create a video blog? A video blog is basically a video diary or log. Often people want to make videos of personal things or of their hobbies. They also use them for educational purposes, how-tos, advertising to promote products to increase website ranks, revenue. You can actually earn money by advertisements. So when you watch like a YouTube clip and there's an ad in front of it, if you watch that ad, Sometimes the people producing the clip get paid. You can also sell subscriptions. Influencers like to use video clips and vlogs. Influencers are people that make money just from sort of being themselves online. It's also a good workaround for upload limits for websites, for bandwidth limits for websites, and for other website restrictions. Okay, so vlogging platforms, there are quite a few and more appear every day. So obviously there's YouTube, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Vimeo, TikTok. TikTok's for really short videos. Dailymotion, it has fewer amateurs. Flickr, it was, I believe, a photo platform, but they now allow 90-second videos. Twitch IRL is an interesting one. It's desktop gaming based. So basically for people that recorded their video gaming, they could then show them online. Okay, so let's talk about YouTube. YouTube is the biggest. It's a not-for-profit. It's owned by Google. It offers the largest audience with over 1 billion viewers. So 1.85, I think, roughly, viewers. They allow people to post videos that are 15 minutes long, free. Longer videos require verification. Now, you can make money using YouTube, but you do require 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 views. After apparently 10,000 views, they will, YouTube will give the creator a share of the advertising profits. Okay, let's have a quick look at Vimeo. Vimeo is another not-for-profit. This one's based in New York City. It was founded in 2004, and it now has over 170 million users. So you can get a basic account for free. It's a little tricky to sign up to. When you sign up, you have to scroll to the bottom of the page to choose your account, and there's just a little link that says basic account. The basic account offers 500 megabytes per week in uploads and 5 gigs in total, which isn't much. However, it has an awful lot of benefits that YouTube doesn't. It deals with sort of more high-end videos, as well as it has templates and fun things. Also, the videos are ad-free. If you've ever checked out a website and you've watched a video and it had ads, chances are it was YouTube. You can add in Vimeo videos to a website without people viewing the website having to watch those ads. You can also make money from selling videos to fans in Vimeo. However, that does require the Pro plan, which is quite expensive. Okay, and that is the end of the slideshow. So I think next, let's have a quick look at Vimeo and YouTube. Okay, so at the moment we are in Vimeo. Now, if you want to know more about Vimeo, I've got the About page here, and it sort of has a timeline of how Vimeo started. So 2004, 2013. They also do 4K playback. Ultra HD is apparently the future, y'all. Videos on Vimeo. So here we are. I've signed up to the basic account, which is good fun. One of the things I really love about Vimeo is the templates. Where are they? That is for create. So if you go into create, you'll find they've got quite a few templates and things that you can use. Use custom video templates, stock clips, photos, and license. Anyway, let's skip that. So this one, the reason I like Vimeo also is it's so easy to use. There isn't very much clutter. So if I want to upload a video, I simply go to new video and upload. Alternatively, I can also go to the top right-hand side of the screen with new video and upload. So I'm going to upload a quick video. Now this one is actually, I say quick, but it is 174 megabytes. Ta-da! So in the lower right-hand corner, you can see it's uploading. At the moment, it's just counting the size, and it will take a few minutes to upload. So while it's doing that, let's have a quick look at YouTube. Okay, YouTube, on the other hand, it has a very, very busy page. I often find people get a little bit lost. Oh, sorry, excuse me, I've got my COVID sock mask open. It is a little more complicated in that it has channels. To get a channel, you need to verify your account. Not quite sure what to say. So anyway, if you were to upload a video using YouTube, you can go to your videos and do it from there. However, it's easiest to look for the little icon that has the camera and plus. So what we do is we hit this icon, upload video, or we can go live. I've never tried going live. So let's try upload video. Drum roll. While that's happening, let's check out our upload and see how that's going. One of the downsides is it doesn't give you the movable bar that tells you how far the upload's coming along. But it is actually pretty quick on Vimeo. I think it's quicker on Vimeo than YouTube. Okay, so back to YouTube and uploading. We shall select files. I'm using the same video again, which is quite large. The reason I've chosen large videos is because I find that every now and again, YouTube has a little bit of trouble with big videos. Not that this is particularly huge, but it's certainly bigger than a 90-minute clip. Okay, so let's go through the steps on YouTube. Title is how to create a free Vimeo account or basic Vimeo account. I'm just going to copy and paste that. It's well worth putting your tags in. Once it's finished uploading, I can create a thumbnail, or I can actually upload a picture as a thumbnail. The all important, is it made for kids? No, it's not made for kids, but it's not specifically made for kids. They also have age restriction options, just in case you used bad language or did something inappropriate. Anyway, the important thing to note on this page is this video link, because this video link is the link you can send to your friends, your family, to show them your videos. So I'm just going to paste that in here, and that will be ready once the video is uploaded. Anyway, if I want to put tags in, here is the place. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. So let's go to next. You can complete this step. That's if I want to turn it into an SD video, standard definition, or create other size videos. And let's just hit next. The all important save or publish. I have a couple of options. I can list it as private. It can be unlisted. Anyone with the video link can watch your video. So you can sort of store your little home movies. It's quite useful for that reason. Public, everyone can watch your video. Whoa, risque. Anyway, moving right along, sorry. You can also select a schedule to when you want to publish. Save or publish. Let's go back to save or publish. I'm going to leave this one as unlisted. So it really wasn't a good video. I made it pretty quickly on the fly. Processing abandoned. Oh, it's a duplicate video. Oh, I uploaded it a minute ago. Okay, so in that case, we shall go to videos. And here it is, previously uploaded. Delete draft video. Okay. So from here, this is where people often have trouble. How do I view it? How do I embed it? So we just hit the hamburger menu. From here, we can edit the title and description. We can get the shareable link. We can download or delete. So generally, we go to get the shareable link. Sorry, I do get the shareable link. Oh, sorry, I can't see the pop-up. It's being hidden by another message on my screen. That's all right. I just copy and paste it to view it here. It's not going to show me it because it's the wrong video, but that's okay. Let's go back here. I need to minimize my page. Sorry about this. Oh, it's still hidden. Link copy to clipboard. Excellent. There's the link. And here's the video. So that's how we upload a video using YouTube. Back to Vimeo. Okay, it has now uploaded. Unfortunately, we missed the sign that it shows you when it does upload. However, we can find that video by going to videos. This is the video we just uploaded. So from here, we have review, send file, publish to social, copy link, embed, replace, download. Now I go to embed it in a website. By hitting embed, I can get the iframe code. So for people that deal with websites, they know what that is. It's basically just a bit of code that can create it on a web page without a link, without having to use a video player. So we'll have a quick look. So this is the link at the moment. We copy that, and there is the video. Hi, today we're going to make a video. Oh, it's awful. We'll just stop that. It's hideous. Here is the embed code. So that's the iframe. I cut and paste that and put it into a HTML page or to get it to appear on a website. But enough of that. Let's have a look at other things. So for other things, I'm going to go back to all videos.
Fleur, I hate to interrupt, but we've run a couple of minutes over. So
oh, that's all right. I'm happy to end here.
Sorry.
No, you're right. 1 second, I'll get back to this page. Stop sharing. There we go. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much, Fleur. I'm sorry to have to cut you off. I mean, that was very right. And one of the problems I feel with this sort of thing is that no one can ask you questions, and I'm sure you would get plenty, but maybe some other time David can organise you to speak at the main meeting where he might give you a bit more time. So now I'd like to introduce Greg Keogh, and his title is A Tour of the Elements. Now, I don't know whether the elements are the chemical elements or the weather elements, but we'll just find out. So, Greg, over to you. I hope he's there. We've got Greg.
Greg, are you unmuted?
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Everybody, wave at me if you can hear me. Oh, yes, I can see people. Okay. All right. I see there's 100 people in this meeting. The committee must be pretty pleased with that, eh? That's fantastic. Yeah. Now, I'm actually a software developer in real life, but if I was going to talk about software development, I would bore you paralysed for half an hour with me just complaining about it because it's so hard. So I'd like to thank the committee tonight for letting me talk about something science geeky. And I'm betting that a lot of people in this PC group are a bit science geeky. Is that right? I bet there's a few amateur astronomers, a few science nerds in here somewhere. So what I want you to do is pretend you're in high school science class.
Am I the only one that can't see your presentation because you've got
No,
it on
okay, I'm just talking. Hang on. Okay,
sorry.
Here we go.
Cool.
Sorry, I was just going to talk a little bit before I hit go. Yeah. I want you to all pretend you're back in high school science, but don't stress because there's no exams. Just relax and just let it wash over you, okay? Now, when I was young, I was very keen on the chemical elements. So it's not the weather elements, it's the chemical elements. And when I grew up and left home, I sort of forgot about them. I got distracted by work and computers and stuff. But last year, 2019, was the year of the periodic table. And I thought, why can't I buy some elements, actually own some? And I did some web searches and I found a company called Lucidaria. There's actually a few, but Lucidaria sells elements as different shapes and sizes as shards and pebbles and cubes. This is my current collection of elements. And that's my cubes over there on the left. And they're lovely things to own, lovely to hold and juggle around. They're all different textures. And there's some non-cubical elements on the other side over there. Now, normally if I was giving a presentation in an auditorium, I'd throw these elements out to the audience as I later I'm going to go through them in order and I'll chuck them out to you in the order I present them. But unfortunately, I can't do that tonight. And the saddest thing is that what I love to do is give people the piece of magnesium. You can see that on the top left there, the magnesium cube in your left hand, and you juggle it around, and it's as light as wood because magnesium is used in making aeroplane wings and sports cars and bicycle frames. Then in your right hand, pick up the cube of tungsten down the bottom middle there. It is 11 times denser than the magnesium. And as you pick it up, it feels like it's dragging your hand down. It's the most fantastic comical effect. It's a shame I can't do that tonight. Now, these are the books that inspired me to make this talk. The one on the far right that's glowing there, I have a great sentimental attachment to. I got that when I was about 12 years old. And that book still reads well today. It's a fantastic book about general chemistry and physics and atomic physics. And a lot of my talk is based upon my admiration for that book. Now, just before we start, a little joke here. There's something about the elements I want to check with people. I reckon there's something about elements. Now, here's a pop quiz. I can't see your hands, but you can see each other. Put your hand up if you collect coins. Do you collect rocks? Do you collect stamps? Do you collect books? Do you collect sports memorabilia? Videos? Pottery? Glasses? Sci-fi memorabilia? Do you collect watches? Pop music? Do you like Mozart? Are you a bird watcher? A stargazer? A wine taster? A cheese taster? Do you collect vintage kitchenware? And the last one, don't be afraid to put your hand up. Are you a train spotter? I can't see the hands going up. Maybe my wife can see any hands going up. Well, I reckon if you like any of those things, it's the same attraction to the elements. I think it's what attracted me to them as a kid. And that's my expression at the top there. I call it all the same but different. All of those things are all the same but different. The mind sees patterns in these things, and I think this is what makes the elements so interesting. Now, just a quick race back through time, because many elements were known in antiquity and back in the days when man was domesticating the dinosaur. And here are some of them. The reason that these elements are known in ancient times is because you can just find them lying around. Gold, and yeah, I've seen sulfur myself at a volcano. You can find diamonds if you're lucky. All of these things are available, all very easy to make. For example, mercury there, that's cinnabar rock. You just heat that up and the mercury just drops out. The only exception I've got glowing there is iron, because iron was a bit of an exception because it was discovered by early man, but it was found in meteorites. That was a very special case. And when it was found, it was as precious as gold because people realized what you could do with iron back then. And then in medieval times, that's his time, Some more were discovered, but there was nothing much happened for hundreds of years after that. At these times, people didn't even know what elements were. They had a hint that these things couldn't be broken down. Like, you can't break gold down into something else by heating it up. But times were changing. Now, what I've got here is a great, this guy, I'm going to clip over to this web page. This guy called, I can't see his name on the web page. Hang on a second. Here he comes. Made a chart of the years, an interactive chart of the years that the elements were discovered. What I'm going to do is run this back to medieval times. Now, see the coloured elements in there? They were known to primitive man. And as I scroll forward, hang on, if I can grab the thing. As I scroll forward through the centuries, more elements fill in as they were discovered. So there's all the metals in there, carbon, nitrogen, oh, there's more, bromine, chlorine. So as you can see, as more and more elements were discovered. And around 1800, there was a flood of them. People went crazy discovering them all. Then we're up to modern times, and they're all discovered. I love this. I'll just go quickly through it again. Look at that. It's lovely. It's flying through history. Yeah. These are the men, not men, of course, who tried to find patterns in the elements. They had charts of them up on the wall. I know that many of these men had charts up on the walls, and they had bits of paper and scribble, and they were trying to figure out the relationship between all the elements. The main person we know, of course, is Mendeleev down there. I hope everybody remembers him from high school. He was the one that we all associate with inventing the periodic table. And notice Lavoisier up there is his proof that being a chemist does make you a chick magnet. I should say. No, I'm not joking. That's his wife. It actually is his wife. So, yeah. And these are some of the attempts by those blokes to try and organise the elements into different columns. They're rather crude, not very accurate, but a good go, certainly. You'll notice that Lavoisier up in the far top left corner, he thought that light and heat were elements. So we've made a lot of progress since then. But the reason these people were so poor at organising the elements was because at this time they were fumbling around in the dark because no one knew anything about the nucleus and the atomic theory. And this is when everything completely changed around 1900. This was a tremendous time in human history for science because not only did we discover here about what the universe is actually made of, like the elements and protons and neutrons, we also discovered that the immense size of the universe, galaxies and nebulas, so it was all happening around 1900. A tremendous break forward. So just relax. This is just basic theory that you should remember from high school. These are the men, all men again, who cracked open the secret of the atom. The most important one there was Ernst Rutherford. And that experiment I've got glowing there was really, really important. His students, Geiger and Marsden, did this experiment where they were irradiating a piece of sheet, and they couldn't believe it, but bits of radiation were bouncing off it. Because back in those days, they thought the atom was like a piece of sponge cake, and everything just went through it. And this experiment proved that there was something solid, deep, thousands of the size of the atom deep inside it, and that was actually the nucleus. So this was a tremendous breakthrough. And this is when, oh, there's Schrodinger's cat down there, just popped up. And you'll notice he looks like Schrodinger. But what happened was, those guys brought us to this model. I hope everybody remembers this from high school, where we learn about protons and neutrons in the nucleus and electrons going around. Now, I should point out that electrons aren't like the school book model. They are, in fact, clouds of probability in shells. And I know school children aren't actually taught that. And these shells called SPDF. It's this highly complicated stuff, which I'm going to skip over tonight, but just know that there are shells of electrons. Now, and to prove how important this is, I just picked an element out of a hat. I picked aluminium, because everybody knows aluminium, right? Now, what makes aluminium is the fact that it has 13 protons in the nucleus. That's the important thing. Any other number, it's not aluminium. And 14 neutrons usually. Sometimes there are slightly different numbers there called isotopes, but that's another topic. And the important thing is too, that string of cryptic looking letters there is the electron shells. There's 1 in the S shell, there's 2 in the S shell, there's 6 in the P shell, and so on. Now I'll show you what happens. I'm going to flip over to Excel. Now I made this spreadsheet myself with tremendous hard work. As you look down the columns are the elements, and their numbers are going up, their number of protons. And those letters in the coloured columns are the electrons filling up the shells. And you'll notice they start off nice and sensible. They just go next shell, next shell, next shell, but then they go a little bit haywire. Then the S ones fill up. When you get down to around 25, 26, it all goes pear-shaped. But it's all explained. Physicists understand all of this because the shells will fill up in a certain energy order. But there you go. That is actually what is happening with electrons as they fill up the shells. And it explains why, Yoda knows now the secret, and that is that when you look at that periodic table that you're seeing there, which is what we see in high school and on charts and walls and books, is basically it's showing you the electron shells filling up. The first row is the S shell, the second row is the S and P shell, and so on and so on. So that was a tremendous secret that unlocked why the periodic table looks the way it does. It's the shells of electrons filling up. And it's those electrons that make the different elements react in different ways. That's why, for example, gold won't react with anything, but whereas chlorine is a deadly poison gas that reacts with everything. It's the electrons that control everything. And what we finish up with was about 1920, 30. We finish up with the classic table up the top there, the one we all see from school books. But my favourite, and it's not shown in school books, is the one below, which is basically where you've taken those green row of elements and inserted them in their correct position. So I really like that long, low table, but you won't see it in textbooks because it's too long. You'd have to turn the page double. There are other periodic tables people have invented. They highlight different things. The bottom squidgy looking one is somewhat comical, but it represents the abundance of those elements. Like you'll see it, like there's lots of oxygen in the Earth's crust, nitrogen and carbon, but down the bottom there's only tiny amounts of OS osmium and IR iridium. It's not quite to scale, but it gives you an idea. I quite like that chart. It explains why gold is so expensive, because gold's only tiny little square down there. And now I made this chart up just for my own interest, because a lot of the elements are just rather boring metals. We all know iron and chromium and titanium and nickel in our coins, and they're all rather dull. And I made this chart to show which ones are coloured. And it was actually quite surprising. I think physicists have to explain why some of these are coloured and some aren't. I mean, for some reason, aluminium is regarded as being white. And it actually is. If you see fresh polished aluminium, it's really white. And this chart I found on the internet, which I'll just skip over, it actually explains why they look different colours, because those little squiggly lines are how reflective the surfaces of the elements are, like gold and copper and silver there, in visible light that we see. That's getting a bit complicated. Okay, this is it. We're going on a high speed, we're going speed dating with the elements now. My wife's going to keep an eye on me to watch the time, all right? Here we go. Everybody ready? Sitting forward. 15 minutes to go. Okay. Now, up the top right is a little map of where we are. See those little highlighted lines indicate where in the periodic table we are, and we're scanning right across the table to show the elements. Here are the very reactive metals called the alkali metals. All these metals have one extra electron in their outer shell, and they'll do anything to get rid of it. This is why, if anybody remembers in high school, you get a bit of sodium, you throw it into a jug of water, and it fizzes and explodes. And now just see what happens when this guy chucks a bit of potassium.
Maybe a gram and a half of each. It's a pretty big chunk of potassium. This. Ready? Yeah.
satisfying reaction.
Yes. Nice. That was a big chunk of potassium. Yeah. Group 2, we know some of these. Everybody knows magnesium. We all have calcium in our bones. Radium is used in radiotherapy treatments. My favourite's beryllium at the top left corner there, which is often used in high-speed machinery and car parts. And I'd love to own a piece of beryllium, but unfortunately, a 1-inch cube of beryllium costs 1,000 Australian dollars. Unfortunately. Group 3, this is pretty obscure. Nobody would know these elements. The only one I'm familiar with is scandium, because I happen to know that it's used in high-performance jet engines as part of the fan blades. But it was only discovered it could do that in recent times. Group 4, I would at this point be throwing cubes of titanium and zirconium into the audience so you can have a feel with them, but you'll have to imagine it. We all know titanium. Plane wings are made out of it, ships' hulls, yachts, bicycles. Zirconium and hafnium are very important in the nuclear industry because zirconium is actually almost transparent to neutrons, but hafnium soaks them up like a sponge. So there are very, very important techniques to actually separate them for the nuclear industry. Sorry, I went backwards then, go forward. Vanadium is used in the finest knives. If you have a vanadium steel knife, that means it's very hard and very long-lived. Niobium is also used in jet engines. That tantalum, when I was a kid, was being used for bone and skull plates, and it turns out that's true. And I discovered why tantalum, when it's a very thin sheet like a foil, is incredibly flexible, so you can sort of wrap it around bones and skulls that have been injured. We all know chromium, chrome plating, because it doesn't rust. Molybdenum is incredibly hard. It's used in the ends of drill bits. You can drill into concrete. It'll even drill other metals. Tungsten, we know, and it's special. It's one of my favourite elements because it's the highest melting point of any element. It's #1. And that's why it's used in tiny, thin filaments in old light bulbs, because you can't get it hot enough to melt it. And it's tremendously heavy. I wish I could throw that tungsten cube out into the audience for you to feel. It's the weirdest thing. Manganese makes special alloys. Now we're getting into the more exotic ones. Rhenium is incredibly rare, incredibly expensive, used in precision machinery for measuring temperatures. Technetium over there is a completely artificial element. It's the first one that was made by man. It does not exist in nature. I'm having enough time. The professor here talks about how much he loves that element, but I'll have to skip over him for now. We all know iron. It's the whole of civilization is built on it, and it's just a shame it rusts because that's why it has to be alloyed with so many things. Osmium is a legendary element because it is the heaviest. It is the densest substance man can ever see or feel. Nothing is heavier in normal life, except of a black hole or a star or something. Nothing's heavier. And unfortunately, it's incredibly expensive. A 1-inch cube of osmium would cost $80,000. Same with ruthenium. I think it's only about, I think it's the second densest, but it's incredibly expensive. It's more expensive than gold and platinum. Cobalt's used in jet engines, but the winner for cost is rhodium down on the far left there. A 1-inch cube of rhodium costs 100,000 Australian dollars. And the company that makes that Lucidaria where I bought my cubes actually had an order for one. Somebody bought one. Can you believe it? Iridium over there is the second densest element, a bit legendary because iridium is very common in space out in the universe. Most meteorites are full of it. And all the iridium you can actually get on Earth is from crashed meteorites, because all the rest of it stunk to the centre of the Earth. And now we see our professor here.
These are the
I'll just zoom in on him.
That are made from the sponge that comes from the mine, and the first stage of the processing.
Oh, sorry, I'll click in again.
And also, like these here, these are the grains of iridium that are made.
He's at a factory that refines iridium and rhodium, all these rare metals.
Processing is making these rather irregular sized grains, which can then be melted again and cast into ingots. before they make bowls like this. Earlier on, we were shown a whole tub full of grains of iridium, and I could actually run it through my hands, something I'll never do again.
Okay, racing through. Is my microphone on?
Off. Somebody just...
Your microphone's on, yep.
Oh, okay. Must have just thought the microphone went off. Okay, thanks. All right, so we're racing through. We know nickel, palladium and platinum are incredibly expensive, mind-boggling expensive, far beyond gold. The average person can't get them. We all know copper because it's the second best conductor of electricity, so it's used in all our wires, electricity wires and around the world. Silver is the best conductor of electricity, but unfortunately, 10 minutes to go, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have power lines made out of silver wire. It would be nice, be very efficient. And what can you say about gold? It has fascinated man since early times because of its beauty. And there are gold crystals there. What's happening now, as we get to the right-hand side, if you remember to look up the top corner, and you can see we're heading towards the right-hand side of the table. As we head over here, we're leaving the metals behind. I know zinc and cadmium are often regarded as metals, but they're not very good ones. And mercury, as you know, is famous because it's the only liquid metal. And if anybody's ever had the good fortune in the early days of being able to experience what it's like to pour and hold mercury in your hands, it's the most fantastic experience. I'm currently trying to buy some and I can't get any anywhere. So if anybody out there in the audience knows how to get some, please contact me.
It's a really fantastic.
We'll skip him due to lack of time. Now, here's aluminium. We all know aluminium. It's a very poor metal. Thallium is a deadly poison. That's why it's got to be sealed up in a jar all the time. Gallium over there,
you may have heard of
melts in the hand.
He was the guy
it's the only metal that does that.
Brought together the periodic table. And at the time that he did.
But I'll skip him too. Now we've almost left the metals behind now. We all know carbon, all life's based upon it. Silicon is the most common element in the whole of the earth. All sand's made from silicon oxide. Germanium's used in transistors. Tin and lead. We think of tin and lead as metals, but they are very poor metals. We're just at the edge of when there's no more metals left. This is now we're into the non-metals. Arsenic used to be a poison once upon a time. Phosphorus in different forms. Antimony. They're not metals. They're used in photoelectric relays and semiconductors and computer chips. Bismuth's up there is actually quite interesting. People have a hobby of melting it on their stove and making crystals out of it. Watch this person pull a crystal, and they're doing that on their stove. It takes a bit of practice to get ones that good, but plenty of people are doing it. So there you go, I'll jump in. Oxygen and sulfur. So there's no more metals left now. All these things are what's called metalloids or non-metals. We all know oxygen. Sulfur is the most important thing in industry for tires and rubber and insecticides. Selenium is used in light collecting diodes. I don't know what tellurium is used for. I can't remember. Now I'm just going to jump through some videos here. There's one here that's absolutely hilarious because I'm running out of time. Watch Theodore Gray light his barbecue.
How to light a grill in 30 seconds. Drop it in the grill.
Yeah.
After that, your charcoal's pretty much good to go.
There you go. 5 quarts of liquid oxygen on your barbecue. Yeah. Theodore Gray's a bit of a legend. He actually has all sorts of merchandise available. He's making element COVID masks. He's got that lovely book at the top there that it's a desktop, what do you call, coffee table book with all beautiful pictures of all the elements. He's a skilled computer programmer. On the bottom left, he actually founded the software company Mathematica with Stephen Wolfram there. He actually makes actual periodic coffee tables, and that's a picture of one there. They cost $10,000, but people are buying them. And for your homework, find a video of him spraying deadly chlorine gas into molten sodium to make fresh salt for his popcorn, which you can see hanging there in the bottom video. It doesn't go well. So we're at the end of we're at the far right-hand side of the periodic table. Now we're into the era of highly reactive gases called the halogens. Fluorine is so reactive that it just eats anything. You know, chlorine is a poison gas. Bromine stinks awfully, but it's used in certain medicines. Astatine is so radioactive that if you've got a piece of it the size of a grain of rice, it would explode in its own heat and boil away. So now I'm going to release the fluorine. This guy is spraying fluorine gas into steel wool. Basically, scouring pad. A metal scouring pad. The fluorine gas just dissolves the steel. It's so reactive.
It burnt a hole right through the iron wool. It's extraordinary. The iron looks as if it's rusted, but the rusty colour is actually iron fluoride.
Yes, and that's boiling iodine on the other side there.
It's really going, and it's really exothermic. We're forming.
Often used as an antiseptic. We all know iodine. We all know the gases by their famous colours in signs. We all know neon's the most popular one, of course. There's another whole group called the rare earths, which up until the mid-20th century, no one knew what to do with them. But it was discovered that they really have fantastic, they make fantastic glass magnets and all sorts of strange ceramic effects. And I've got a little note there to say that erbium was famous in the novel by Carl Sagan, Contact. There's actually a chapter called Erbium. And finally, the most dangerous group, of course, is the ones we all know, uranium and plutonium. And now, I know I can't ask you for hands up why the plutonium is in the shape of a ring like that, so I'll have to give the answer. You can probably guess. It's so it won't go critical. If they made it into blocks or bars or bricks, you could accidentally stack them together and you could be in a lot of trouble. You could have a criticality event, as it's called, and molten plutonium running everywhere. So that's a nice shape to put it in. Now, I do not have time to discuss in a short thing about where the elements come from, but probably many of you know that they are actually created in stars. Stars synthesize the elements, and made famous by Carl Sagan in his Cosmos book and TV series when he said, "We are made of star stuff." And that is actually true. Now, I'm going to finish up. How much time have we got left, Marcia?
1 minute.
1 minute. Fictional elements. Now, everybody knows kryptonite, right? I didn't know there were actually 5 allotropes of it. I did know about green kryptonite, and any fan of Superman should know that green kryptonite's deadly. And I didn't know about any of the other ones. My pop culture's out of date. Now, phlebotom's a very important element. Phlebotom is used by the movie and TV industry to drive any plot. Any stupid plot you can think of requires phlebotom to make it work. See, it's quite possible. I don't know, but I guess that the TARDIS and the Lord of the Rings ring are probably made out of phlebotom. Right? Another important one is unobtainium, made famous in the 2009 movie Avatar, where, as you can see, there are mountains floating in the background. And remember, they were mining the unobtainium because it made the mountains float. Somebody points out over here that quite often phlebotom and unobtainium are intimately related, because quite often you need phlebotom to make the unobtainium work. Or maybe the other way around, I'm not sure, but you know, we'll let the writers deal with that. There's a serious technical mistake in this because in Avatar, because unobtainium does not make mountains float. The element that does that is upsidasium, which you should all know, anybody who's old enough, from the Rock and Bullwinkle show in the 1960s. There's Bullwinkle holding a piece of upsidasium on the left-hand side over there. There's 2 other ones I should mention, 2 of my favourites. If you work in a big office or a business, administravium and bureaucratium are fabulous and scary elements. Bureaucratium especially, because unlike radioactive elements, it doubles in mass annually, and it inhabits all reactions. It's a very scary stuff, those 2. And just to be serious, on the last slide here, there may be elements undiscovered. That very pretty chart over there, as you go horizontally, is the element number, and going upwards is the number of neutrons in the nucleus, and the black squares are stable elements, and the coloured ones are radioactive and decay. It is theorised that right off the top corner of the screen there may be extra large, supermassive, stable elements, and they're still working on that right now. And at that point, I say, thank you, everybody. And I'll flip out of presentation mode if I can figure out how to do it.
Thank you very much, Greg. That was most informative. A lot of it I didn't understand, and I was pleased to hear you say that you learnt this at high school. I went to a technical school, and now I know why I didn't know a lot of the elements. And I was extremely interested in your calendar where you went through all the elements and when they were discovered. I'd be interested to see, and I won't be here unfortunately, the 30-20 calendar as to what elements they find on Mars in future years. And I'm sure probably in the next 100 years that they'll get there. But look, thanks very much. I found it extremely interesting, and I hope everyone else did.
I hope I pitched it at the right level for everybody. It was just supposed to be pop science, you know.
Yeah, no. Well, if you could interest me in that sort of stuff, but you must have done a good job. Now, I'd just like to tell you about Morris. Morris was an 82-year-old man who went to the doctor to get a physical. A few days later, the doctor saw Morris walking down the street with a gorgeous young woman on his arm. And so a couple of days later, the doctor spoke to Morris and said, "You're really doing great, aren't you?" Morris replied, "Just doing what you said, Doc. Got a hot mama and be cheerful." The doctor said, "I didn't say that. I said, you've got a heart murmur, be careful." So now it's 8 minutes past 12, 12 minutes past 8. We'll have a 5-minute break so you can all have a cup of coffee. It won't be a 20-minute break because there's no need to mingle with everyone. There's no need to mingle. So at 8:17, we'll be back online again with our next presenter. So have a break and we'll see you in 5 minutes. Gentlemen, it's now 8:20. We've run a couple of minutes over. So you're there, David. So we'll hear a few words from our esteemed president. So over to you, David.
Okay, it may be very few, I think. Okay, I'm on camera, I can see. A fairly brief President's report this month. Things have been moving so rapidly in some areas that anything I'd prepared this morning would be obsolete by this afternoon anyhow. So some bad news and some good news. I'm going to start with the bad news so I can finish off with good news. There was a bit of a snafu happened last week. And without going into, I don't even understand the detail myself. I've got capable people taking care of the technicalities, but there was a potential major loss of emails for members in the Microsoft email system. There was a couple of days of flapping around and worrying, but we have some good people who got onto it, and it's now in the process of being resolved. A couple of statistics here. As far as they can tell, the team can tell, 85% of users are not missing any items at all. Items being old emails before May something or other. And there is no evidence to date of anyone having lost anything permanently. There was a total of 5.5 million items were affected by it across the whole club. And as of late this afternoon, 4.3 million items have been restored. The recovery process has been running for 48 hours. They've got a recovery process based on PowerShell, whatever that is. So it was looking pretty grim for a few days, but I'm sort of certainly myself becoming a lot more relaxed about it. It doesn't affect people who use POP3 for their email, by the way, which is another reason why I'm relaxed, because that's what I use. But it looks as though it's all going to work out in the end. But a few guys have been working, well, I won't say 24/7, but certainly been working very hard on this. First and foremost amongst those is Hugh McDonald and Stephen Zuluaga, with Rob Brown as project manager. We managed to sort of form a proper project team to look into this very quickly. Other members of the team are Stuart Grunickley, who's been making a very useful contribution in sort of testing some ideas. And oh, my brain is standing still at the moment. Harry, thank you. And Harry, who's been sort of, as Harry does, sort of gathering figures and all that sort of stuff. So Rob's been doing, and Rob's in the room here. Stuart, are you around somewhere, Hugh? I hope so. Hugh's taking a bit of time off it. Rob's been basically the manager, and me, I've just been hanging around and getting in the way, I think, mainly, and the guy who has to do the report. So that's about all I can tell you about that at the moment.
David, it's been a great effort, and it's better than you get from some of the software companies. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's amazing, and I've been sort of saying to myself, it's really marvelous that in several spaces now, we've sort of started getting this team kind of feeling coming together, and things are beginning to happen. And yeah, it's working out really well. So the other things are the maker room at Moorabbin, used to be known as the training room, is now henceforth to be known as the maker room. I'll call it Mark 1 version of that is now pretty much ready. We've got a nice space, a beautiful workbench with lighting on it. I've yet to go and buy the tools that I got the budget for some time ago. Got to get around to doing that. But it's a very good, very, very good solid starting point for a place where members can come in and start making things initially, in this case, sort of in the electronics, Arduino, microcontroller type of field, which is in some ways is sort of the modern manifestation of what the club is about. Another thing, I've probably mentioned this before at some stage, I tend to lose track of what I mentioned when, is we are building up a sort of museum / exhibit of retro computing equipment and other gadgetry and gizmos. That's going to be in the Borrett room. We've got a couple of people, Bill Sakell, who loves fiddling around with computers and the like, and Sean Clark, that a lot of you will know. He's going to be assisting as well, and we're going to try and make that. What we're aiming for is overall with the rooms is that we want it to be a place where when somebody new walks into the place, they're going to say, oh, wow, this is really, really cool. Look at that. It's whizzing and it's flashing its lights, or it's beeping at me, or whatever it is. And gee, I think I want to be part of this. Because we've got to be able to make the place attractive to young people who are going to come in and want to be a part of this thing. So that exhibit is an important part of that. There will be other stuff too. I'm working sort of quietly on possible funky gadgets, whatever it might be, interesting clocks using strange technologies, what have you. And a few other things that I'll keep up my sleeve for the moment. So that's about it for me, I think, at the moment. Some bad news and some fairly good news.
I'd like to add my congratulations to the team, David. I know the problems you've been having today, and I think everybody's done a sterling job. So well done, chaps.
Thanks. I'm very happy with what's been going on too. Yeah. Okay. End of President's report. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, David. Well done, and I also add my congratulations to the committee, but it's not a very nice time to be having to have all these other pressures, but well done. So hopefully George is around nearby that can give us an up-to-date on what's new. So over to you, George.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Yep.
All right. I'll start with a few things. Those of you thinking of buying an electric car, there's a new Model S. The long range gets 402 mile rating. This is a government rating, which is 647 kilometres on a charge. When Telstra first put out their first Model S in 2009, the charge is given as 250 kilometres compared to 640 now, 650. They made a lot of changes, substantial reduction in weight during design and manufacture, and then smaller gains, replacing mechanical oil pumps with electric one that also lubricates regardless of the speed. 2% increase in range has been achieved through tweaks to the gearbox and the front motors. Latest aero are better in reducing aerodynamic drag, adding 2% to the range, and the wheels also help reducing drag, and they broke the 400-mile barrier, which is a big thing in America, and also dropped the price by $5,000 US. However, that model is not available yet in Australia, but the 620 kilometre long range model is available in Australia, selling for, I think, just over 100,000. Going along with the electricity path, UK has got the first commercial scale electric aircraft, but it's hybrid, hydrogen electric powertrain. So there's a lot more energy stored in hydrogen, and they think in a short time they can get a 10-20 seater in a few years, in a 50 to 100 seater version by 2030, and a 200 seat aircraft with a range of over 5,500 kilometres by 2040. Fairly easy to claim, but I hope it's achievable. Now, the New Horizons has become a first spacecraft to demonstrate stellar parallax. By the way, are you seeing my photo or reading my screen? Hello?
I can't see a photo, George.
No, just me. So you can reading my screen, are you?
Not seeing your screen.
No,
we're
just seeing your Visi.
Yeah,
George, somebody hijacked your presentation. You'll have to represent your screen.
No, I don't have to. I'll come to show my screen a bit later on.
Whatever.
Yeah. Talking about stellar parallax is one of the problems in Galileo's claim that the Earth spins around the sun is that if the Earth is on one side of the sun and then 6 months later it's on the other side, if you look at the stars, they should have moved a bit, but they didn't. And that's because 1 second of arc, you have 360 degrees, every degree is 60 minutes, and every minute has got, is down into seconds. So a second of arc is extremely fine, and even the nearest star you can't detect. However, New Horizons is now way past the orbit of Pluto, about 7 billion kilometres away, and it took some photos of the stars and compared it with Earth, and sure enough, you could see the parallax as some of the nearest stars moved, nearest stars being 4.2 and nearly 8 light years away. Yeah, it's interesting that this may be used in interstellar space, navigation, and a method similar to even the ancient poet, Greek poet Homer would have understood. Now, some of you would have heard about COVID-19. And there's been an explosion of the growth in scientific papers. In the last few months, there's 23,000 separate papers published, and it's doubling every 20 days. It's the biggest explosion in scientific literature ever. Now, how are you going to read all of this if you're a researcher? Well, a lot of work is going to artificial intelligence, where it does the reading for you and finds out what you're interested in and summarizes and gives you a chance to understand what the salient points are in your line of research. This is looking at artificial intelligence for natural language. The quantity of the new information is daunting, the professor said. It's like what you would get on a medical conference that used to happen yearly. Now it's happening daily. Those guys will be buried, not only in the virus, but the literature. Now, I've been getting updates from AV Comparatives. In my opinion, it is the prime site for virus testing, all sorts of virus testing. Look at performance, etc. And now they're looking at the improvements overall in stalkware. We had malware and lots of other ware. Stalkware is described as apps that have the functionality to allow them to invade the privacy of an individual without their consent or knowledge. And it can be hidden from the menus while the app continues to run in the background. Now, stalkware has a lot in common with totally legal, legitimate, commendable software, like parental control, because it allows parents to ensure the safety of the children by monitoring their usage and the private calls. To significance, the stalkerware does the same thing, but unlike child protection, it's hidden. You can't see it running. There's no menus. It's buried very deep. And it's also been referred as spouseware, whereas one partner can put that type of software on the partner's phone or computer and see what he or she is doing, or they're having an affair, or whatever. That software in itself is legal, but using it incorrectly may be punishable. It depends, on the laws in your country. And not all virus software will pick it up because it's not a virus. It doesn't have the same signatures. So if you think that you've been infected, people are finding out what you're doing in the private emails, you should do something which you've been advised against doing. That's install a different manufacturer's antivirus software. And AV Comparatives have run tests on both Android and Windows systems. Now, what I'll try and do now is see if I can share my screen. Just bear with me. Hopefully it'll be, you won't have to wait longer. And I'm clicking on share, and
George,
nothing
can
is
you click
happening.
present now? Present, if you scroll down to the bottom panel. And,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm presenting. Now, unfortunately, I can't see what I'm presenting. Let's bring up the Word document. And can you see the Word document?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the stuff I've been reading about, you know, the stalk aware on device. And if you get rid of it, change the passwords and media and banking, etc., 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 etc. Now, these are the results on Android, and there's a list of generic names of the software. And this shows you in 2019 down the bottom, and 2020, the percentages, various vendors. You can see Kaspersky's doing well, Trend Micro is doing well. To hide against, you know, to remove that kind of a nasty. Now, this shows on Windows 10. And in November 2019, 40%, McAfee 50%, Microsoft 40%, Norton did quite well. In May of this year, quite a few have got to 100%. Bitdefender has always been first or equal first with Kaspersky in just antivirus. And in this thread, both of them got 100% of the known ones. And Norton did 100%, and Trend Micro got 90%. So if you have any suspicions, try, you might be able to get, you know, just a Norton, you know, trial version for a fortnight. I'm not sure about Bitdefender. So that's about it, folks. And whoops, I'm doing next month's. So I will close this and I'll stop presenting because we're out of time, folks. We're out of time. Sorry, in a few minutes over. So it's over to you, Mr. President.
Thanks.
Someone
talking to me? Very much, George. Very interesting as usual, and most informative. So it's now 8:41. My schedule said we should have finished at 8:37. So we've only gone 4 minutes over, which I think is a brilliant effort with so many speakers. I was pleased to see we, at one stage, we had 108 people watching tonight. So to Kirsten for organising this and the rest of the people involved, I think Hugh was in the background. Thank you all very much, and I presume we'll be seeing you this way next month, because the way Victoria's going, I can't see us ever getting together again for a while. So good night, everyone.
Well.